Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Peas in a Podcast. I'm Danielle from peaslovencarrots, back again with another really, I hope it's going to be a good podcast. I mean, I'm going to go for it. A really good podcast. And I'm really excited to be here. I can't believe we're on episode 2 of season 2. Like, that's really wild, right? I'm back with my amazing co-host.
Woohoo!
That was Mom, not Ellie.
Like Mom.
But they're both amazing. Just different.
100%.
One's my mother and one's my husband, so not the same. And we're really excited to have a really amazing guest here who is super awesome in her own right, but also we're best friends. Yeah. Best friends
Always.
forever. Abbey Wollin, say hi.
Hi.
Abbey is here for, I think, a very appropriate podcast. It was something that I really have been wanting to talk about because there's a lot of talk about this topic in a very specific area, and I wanted to move it out of that area. So first of all, let's just let Abbey introduce herself for a minute.
Oh, goodness gracious. Just a minute?
Just a minute. No, honestly, there's no time limit here. Just go. Do your
it's
thing.
fine. My name is Abbey Wollin, and I started my company as a glass painter, and I started wholesaling my pieces to stores all over the country. And I guess I kind of grew up a little bit, I guess you could say it. And I'm very, very passionate about women's entrepreneurship, and I help women start, grow, and scale their businesses. I'm also the program coordinator over at the JWE, and I do all their educational programming and events. And every single day, I get to listen to women. I get to hear what they're going through and how to help them maximize their profits so that they can reach every single one of the goals that they want to achieve.
Amazing.
Nice.
I know. It's really amazing. Wow. She's basically like the
Where
genie in Aladdin, like makes your wishes come true, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty awesome. So I'm just going to go right in. Our topic today is work and values, which is in and of itself a very broad topic, right? Because values and work can mean a lot of different things. But really, I think there's a lot of talk of like home-work balance, work-life balance, how to balance those things. And I actually don't know if those topics can ever be spoken about enough, because if you're like me, or even like you, or like you at different points, like where you're working and you're the primary caregiver for your children and the primary caretaker of your home, then the work-life balance is a real difficulty that we all have to overcome. So it is an important topic, and actually we will get to that because that was a lot of the questions that was brought in. But what I really want to focus on today, what I want to keep coming back to, is work and values. First of all, how do you identify what your values are in the workplace, related to the workplace, and how do you maintain those values, which I think is a really hard thing. So I did ask questions, and this was it wasn't the most amount of questions that was ever asked, but it was the least amount of repetitive questions, which I found really interesting, meaning like so many people were coming at it from so many different angles. And it was the most, I would say, productive question asking. Like every question was very clear. Whatever. So anyways, how I divide it up is I always divide up the questions into categories, and then we work from there. So these 3 categories are family-related work and value questions, workplace-related work and value questions, and then Torah value questions. So, I think that like both of you just jump in. Everybody has to feel comfortable here, okay?
Don't have to tell me twice.
And it's your house.
Is it though?
My mouth. It's my mouth. It's the mouth.
Is it really ever your house if you're the mom?
No, never.
It's never your house. Like you think it's your house.
It belongs to the kids for sure.
Yeah. What belongs to
No, this is my house. 100% my house. They did not grow up in this house.
That's true.
Okay. So
this is mine.
No, okay, Mom. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You can visit.
And then leave. You guys can't see, but she's thanking Hashem right now that we can leave. Okay. So let's start, I guess, with workplace, and then we'll segment into family, right? Even though family is important, it's the most important. Okay, you got it. Blah, blah, blah. We're moving on. Workplace. Okay. So actually, the first question that came in is from Mimi. Do you not remember? You sent a question. in the question box.
I don't remember the question, though.
It was actually, I think, the best question. That's why it's number one.
Look at that.
I was shocked.
I'm smart and I don't even know it. Oh my
No, I was
goodness.
blown away by your question. I thought it was
Really?
really, really smart. Also because you didn't really work when I was growing up. So I don't view you.
I did work from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't see you as a worker. I saw you as a stay-at-home mom. You did an excellent job of that. I just didn't view you in that role. So when this question came from you, it was like eye-opening for me.
Oh. What's the question?
Okay.
She doesn't remember.
Okay, so the question is that Mima asked is where I guess all of these things start, where work starts, is how can you know if you are being paid your value? Which leads into other questions we got, like what is your opinion on equal pay? How do you demand your value? All those things. So let's just like right away jump in. Like, how can you know if you are being paid your value?
As a woman, unfortunately.
You asked the question.
But she obviously has an answer.
Oh, you're qualifying the question. Okay.
As a woman, unfortunately, I think it's changing, certainly from my days, but it still hasn't changed enough. That how do you know? Because you get you take a job, whether it be as an attorney or any kind of job, and you're told this is the salary. But you don't know what the man sitting in the office next to you doing the same job or a little bit lesser of a job because you're smarter, because we're women. And
oh my God. Wait.
Then how do you know that he's getting the same pay? There's no way for you to know.
True.
Right.
So it's interesting because I heard recently a story about a woman who came in and was being interviewed, and the interviewee. So I was hearing it from the interviewee, and he said that most times that he's interviewing a woman, when he asks them, how much do you want to get paid? There's this whole laundry list of the reasons why she should get paid that price. Meaning she says, well, I have tuition and I have to cover my expenses. But this is
is not worthy of any money. Your work is has the value.
100%. You have to be confident in the amount that you sell. And the other thing that I always get is that I meet with a lot of women, okay, who are struggling in their businesses, and when I ask them, the first question I ask them is, well, how much money do you actually need to make a month? Right? Let's try to start hitting those profit goals. And I will say 8 out of 10 women tell me I don't know. And it's not that I don't think that they
product creators.
No. I'm talking about, I'm talking about service industry.
Okay.
I'm talking about anyone who's an entrepreneur. I'm not talking about somebody who is a lawyer and getting paid by, who's getting paid by somebody else.
But there are women on here that are lawyers. What about them? How do they know what
there's a standard. Meaning, like, if you're like a first year out of law school, there's a standard pay. Everybody gets that pay.
What if you're a secretary?
So what I usually do is I go to Glassdoor. Or I do like average salary.
What's Glassdoor?
It's like Google. Like you Google it and you can see what the average salary is from a person in their industry or under that company. Like if it's a big company, like let's say you were getting a job at Google or something. You could say, well, how many people in this industry?
Oh, because it's a Glassdoor. You could see.
Get it.
That's very smart.
So you go to Glassdoor.com.
See, I didn't even know that website. Okay, boom, podcast over. Glassdoor.com.
No, so
unbelievable.
I didn't know that existed.
So I personally work with entrepreneurs. So I'm going to be very honest with you. My experience is going to come from entrepreneurship.
Right.
So and the reason why, by the way, that they can't tell me how much they need. If I said to them, I said, well, how much money does your husband, like the next question is, well, does your husband make enough money that you don't need to make money? And they go, of course I need to make money. So I said, so then what's the deficit? Right? And then they'll tell me, oh, I need $4,000 or I need $5,000 or I even just need $1,000, right? But the problem is here. You ready? Here's the issue is that if I say that I only need $3,000 a month, but Danielle says that she needs $7,000 a month, does that mean that Danielle is more valuable than me? Women are emotional by nature, and so they put their value based on the price or their salaries that they're getting. And so I think when it comes to value and the amount that we set as service providers and entrepreneurs, it's all within our psyche. It's just like this, I don't know, this is what I've been battling and seeing. It's not like I have a solution yet. I'm just telling you that this is what I'm seeing. And it's interesting.
What? Meaning, okay, so what should women do though? Because like let's say I need the $7,000 because where I live, babysitting costs more money, transportation costs more money, and we're doing the same job.
Listen,
but we're doing the same job, right? And the company, let's say, needs to hire both of us. They need 2 people. We're bookkeepers, right? So the company needs 2 bookkeepers. There's a lot going on, but this is what I need to be able to come to work every day because you're
not going to take that job. You're going to go find another job. But
what if the company's willing to pay me that money and willing to pay her that money? She doesn't know that I'm getting more money. And is she worth more money if she doesn't need it?
Okay, we're like asking.
Right. I don't know.
But I totally hear where you're coming from. But I think that it's I see. Again, I'm coming from the entrepreneurial part. So,
but is value? My question was: wait, is value based on your need as the person getting paid, or is value based on what your job is worth, the work that you do?
What your job is worth.
No, 1 second. The job is definitely worth it. But what I'm saying to you is that there are some people, I'll just give you an example. Let's just talk about makeup artists, right? There are makeup artists, know their skill, and then there are magical makeup artists. And you know those people who are just super, super, super good at what they do, right? And so would you say that those magical people, those magical unicorns should get paid higher? No, their value is higher.
Yeah, it's capitalism.
Okay, so then they're going to go and find a job. But that doesn't mean that you're less valuable.
Well, it does.
It does.
I mean, monetarily.
As a human
being, we're all valuable. As human beings, our value is equal.
Correct.
But as in terms of your talent or in terms of your skill, there is different value. Like if we had to pay for nevuah, Moshe Rabbeinu would get the most money. Because his nevuah it wasn't like he spoke to Hashem.
I know, but let's take an artist, for example, okay? Let's just take an artist, right? When I first started painting on glass, no joke, I think I maybe charged myself $25 an hour, okay? No joke, okay? Now I charge $250 an hour to paint for people. If you handed me glass, I would charge you, or a store, whatever.
And we're best friends, so I would be free for me.
Yes, you are.
I still have a few empty walls in the house.
Right, but what I'm trying to say to you is that your value goes up with your expertise and with your brand value and all that stuff, right? That becomes much more valuable. So, for example, let's take, if you wanted to buy an Elizabeth Sutton right now, or you wanted to buy a Ellie Fine Art, right? Those are thousands of dollars for an original. And then you've got other people who are dying, right? They're artists. They're dying to sell their work for that much money. Ellie never started, and I'll be honest with you, she never started selling her items cheaply. She always said, this is the value of the item, and this is what I'm going to set it at. I think that when it comes to selling your own
item,
100%. And I'm sure that her pieces are eventually going to go up much higher. But that goes
back to the question, she knew her worth. How do women figure out what their worth is?
Okay, so the first thing is that you have to make it less, you have to take out the emotion. Number one, 100%. You first have to figure out your variable and fixed costs. That's number one. Or your time that it's going to take you to go get this, to do the job. Okay?
What is your time worth?
What is your time worth? And so,
but that's really subjective. That is really subjective.
When you're trying, so I don't know.
I charge for time, right? I'm in an industry where my currency is time, right? Because
you don't charge the same that someone just starting an Instagram.
Honestly, I don't know what other people charge, so I don't really have a frame of reference. My price has gone up over the years because actually, in reality, it could take me a bit less time to do what I did a year ago because I got better at it. But I got better at it, so I became better at it. You're paying for a higher quality of work now.
Correct. So therefore your prices go up.
So it's not just time, it's never just time, or it's never just the product cost, or it's never just this. It's also what you personally are actually bringing to the table that other people can't bring to the table.
Correct.
So how do you put a number on that? That's where so many women are. That's what so many of these questions were about.
You can't.
Where do they start? How do they figure out that number? How do they decide $20 an hour versus $30?
So the first thing is that you go to Glassdoor and you see, okay, what's the average salary for these people they're getting paid? And then you say, okay, can I accept that pay? Do I have something else additional? Do I have some superpowers, as I call it?
Start with a mass marketed version of what you do and work from there.
And then work from there and go up and say, well, listen, I can't do this for $60,000. That's why I'm not going to go work for somebody else. I need these many hours to work, and this is what my value is. And so therefore, I'm going to reverse engineer it and say, okay, this is what I need to pay, right? This is what I need in my pocket. So now this is how many people I need to go after, and these are the people that, you know what I'm saying? Like, then I know exactly what I need to offer.
So the first thing you need to do is figure out what your cost is, what your time is, and then you need to compare yourself to the mass market. Either through Glassdoor or what other people around you are doing. You need to try to way to flush out those numbers.
Yeah, but I think the bigger issue is that you need to be really clear about how much money you really want to make and how much you need to make. I think that's even before anything else.
You know what? I
guess it depends if you're an entrepreneur or if it's like a second income job. Correct. Or if it's a hobby, cover your costs type of thing. Or if it's not just cover your costs, buy new shades every once in a while type of business.
You just need to, that's what I'm saying, but you just need to be honest. You just have to first identify how much money you actually want to bring in. Like, what are your goals? If you have no goals, you have no place of reference. What I usually find is that women go into entrepreneurship because they are passionate about something and they really just either that or they're a teacher or they're like a service provider and they need extra income.
Or they're bored. I was bored.
Right. And they need extra income but they don't really have any business fundamentals like at all.
Right.
But I also think, it's funny when you said value, right? So I was thinking, and this is like totally off topic, but when you said values, I thought branding, meaning when you create your company, there's a certain amount of values that your business is based on, meaning your mission, your vision, all of that. So I wasn't even thinking about it monetarily. I was thinking about it as in, okay, so why did we go into business in the first place, or why did I go into this job to begin with?
Very interesting. But you were asking monetarily. Like, how do you know your worth?
I understand what you're saying because you're talking about more women not going to work in the workforce as much as going to work for themselves, starting a business for themselves. That's a little different.
For sure.
I don't tell them you're back. You worked in the garment district for a long time.
I worked in the garment district for a very long time.
At a time where women were not being paid equal pay.
And I was being paid even less because I was the youngest person in the company.
And you were an American.
And I was an American. And also I did not have a parent. My father passed away, but my mother was so fearful of not having security
that she took any job.
That she would always say to me, you know what? They love you in this job. Stay. It's not
settle.
It's not the best. You could probably make more money, but you should stay. So yeah, I did stay on one job for too many years, being underpaid, working 14 hours a day. But it was my choosing. It was because I wasn't confident enough, and there weren't people like you or Danielle that can help me move up the ladder financially, within my
but you know what I see these days so often? I mean, and I've even seen it. Like, I was a teacher for 15 years, okay? Yeah. And as I was a teacher, when I started teaching, we started at the bottom, and you put in a lot.
The grunt work.
It's not just even grunt work.
Nobody wants to do grunt work anymore.
It's not even also the grunt work. It's also like, oh, there's a Purim carnival. I'll do it. I'll run that. I'll do this. I'll do that. You just constantly are showing your value so that you would be, eventually you can go to them and say, hey, listen, I've given you this value. Please raise me up.
The reason they're the owners, the reason they're the boss and you're not, is because they, for the most part, are very good at reading their workers.
Like, they're going to hire who they're going to get the most work out of.
Yeah. So, having me in their company was so beneficial because I was so underpaid and I worked harder than...
And I know that, but I bet you the people in the fashion world today, they don't work as hard and they get probably paid much higher. Because
I did end up making a lot of money at the end, I did. But
what I'm saying to you is that, like, I've even noticed, like, the assistants that I had in my class, like, when I would say to them, hey, do X, Y, and Z, they're like, then pay me more. Like, I'm not doing it. And it was just this...
People today, it's not that they're lazy, it's entitlement.
It's entitlement.
Oh, people, right. And it's even...
But that's the same thing with the whole epidemic for me. I get on Instagram many, many times a day. hi, can you give me a shout out? Hi, can you promote my page? Hi, can you do this? Hi, can you do this? And I mean, in reality, like this was actually a Shiloh we asked because I don't ever want to take away somebody's parnassa or not give somebody parnassa if I can. But like, I actually can't do that all day long. Like it wouldn't work for anybody. But what I would want people to know is when you're asking me that question, you're trying to skip steps. And you don't need me to tell people to go follow you or to go see what you're doing, because if they get there and you're not producing anything, they're not going to stay. So it's not going to be worth anything. If you work hard and you invest the way, like, honestly, I worked really hard. I was posting 4 original recipes a week for over 2 years. For over 2 years. Like, that is not easy, and it is not free, and it costs money, and it's creative energy and all of that stuff and everything. But I did it, and I pushed through every single day. And if they work really, really, really hard, the shout outs will come anyway, because people will notice and people will see. And then when you do get a shout out, people will come and they'll stay because you're working hard.
I think pay is also a lot of times, your personality can definitely dictate, a certain level of extra money you can get than someone else on
like
the same
part of the
job.
package. It's part of what you bring to the table.
Right.
Right, 100%. But I also would like to just go back to your conversation. We could have this could be like a whole podcast or something, like influencers and their value, right? And what should I pay? What should I pay an influencer, and what should I be
I'm not
paid?
having that conversation.
No, but what I want to say is that also make sure that your content.
I just want to be Kardashian,
No, but how do they know that your content or your audience is going to be interested in their content and their audience? Meaning it might not even be aligned. So there's a lot of, you have to do a lot of market research, and because a person's going to shout you out, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get any residual from it, in my opinion.
Right.
I also think, in my opinion, there is something called so we talk about time and value, to assess how much you should charge. It's the same idea with influencers. There's influencer currency. That's what I call it. And that's engagement. So seeing the analytics, understanding somebody's analytics, that to me is currency, meaning I'm able to actually look at it and say, okay, what does their audience look like? And then what should they be pricing out? And also, do they have a unique voice? Are they in a very unique space? Is there any other competition? Are they aligned with me? There's a lot of other things that we have
from the business end.
From the business end.
Right.
I'm coming from the business end, not on the influencer end, even though people do send me things.
No, right. Okay. I think anyway, the blogger business relationship is like a different topic altogether, because there's so much that goes into it. But I hear what both of you are saying. Okay. So how do we feel about equal pay? Pro?
Duh. Is that even a question?
That was a question, actually. That was a question. Mom, why are you hesitating? You don't think women should be the same paid? A woman and a man doing the same job should not get the same amount of money?
100%.
Oh, so you're pro.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the question? You sounded like you were going to say no.
I don't even think that
they may be doing the same job, but if one is doing that same job and producing more,
okay,
then even
they're
though
doing a better job,
exactly.
So then they get paid. Then they're not doing the same job.
But
I'm talking
in
about
their mind, they may not.
But let's say
they don't think
one
that.
second. But let's say let's say we have 2 cold callers, right? They're calling the exact same amounts of people every day, right? Each of one is calling 200 people every day, 200 cold calls a day. Mm-hmm. The man is getting $100 a day. The woman is getting $75 a day. There is no such thing as doing a better job or more job, because they're capped out. After 200 calls, they're done. Their job is done. Should the man get $100 when the woman gets $75?
You know what? I was a cold caller.
Yeah.
And I had made a deal with them to pay me X amount of dollars an hour.
Yeah.
And then a certain percentage of all it was for an ad sales. So all the ads that I sold, I would get
a commission.
But it got to a point where I was really making a lot of money. And it was a part-time job, but I was doing very, very well, because I'm amazing on the phone.
No, she actually does. She never gets off the phone.
I used to be able to sell anything I wanted to on the phone. And I was very good at it. And eventually one of the owners of the company said, we're going to have to take away the hourly.
Okay, Mom, you're hired, okay? But you did not answer the question. Do you think a man, no, but for the exact same job, should a man that gets paid $100 be, like, should a man get paid $100 when a woman gets paid $75 to do the same job?
No, it should not.
Okay, fine, you can stay.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. So this is actually a really interesting question. This is probably for people that work in very secular environments. I don't know if this is so much for entrepreneurs or maybe if they're dealing with secular companies. This obviously came from somebody who feels this way. How do you not feel guilty, or how do you get to a place where it's okay requesting so much time off for holidays? Meaning, I'm assuming for her, maybe there's a bit of like embarrassment or maybe there's insecurity. But this girl works in a secular environment and does need to ask off a lot of time for holidays.
She has to.
But that's her value. Like, she can't work on Sukkot. She can't work on Pesach. She can't work on Rosh Hashanah.
She has to almost, prove herself to her co-workers that are making the same pay that she's putting the time in, the time, other days, or staying later or coming in earlier or not taking lunch. But she does.
She should be punished for having to take off for Rosh Hashanah by not having lunch.
No, it's not punished.
It sounds like a punishment.
She has to produce what the other person that's making the exact same pay. She has to produce the same amount of workload that they do.
Oh my gosh, I'm never working for you.
Okay, so
you're so tough.
That's what it is. That's just, there's
I love your mom on this podcast because it's such different points of view than me.
but like, I feel like that's illegal, first of all. What you're saying, that's discriminatory.
Well, listen. Being an Orthodox Jewish person, I mean, I don't know about all the other religions, but there are a lot of holidays.
Well, that's why
so here's my thing. So
there are
this
a lot
is my
of holidays.
My feeling is that boss who hired her is not dumb and knows that when he hired this Orthodox Jewish woman, there were days that she was going to have to take off.
No, I disagree with you.
1 second. Hold on. Wait, you can disagree, but let me tell my
Shavuos is unknown. Non-Jews do not know about Shavuos.
So Shavuos is fine. Fine. I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is that in most cases, when if it was me going in for a job, I would be exceptionally confident. Number two, I would say this is my calendar.
You'd be upfront about it.
I would be 100% upfront about it. And not only that, but I would not be apologetic. And I have to tell you, after listening to a lot of women, because I run the JWE and I hear women who come and they also are running $1 million businesses with lots of employees. And think about it on their end, by the way, that they have to tell their employees we're closed during these holidays, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that they told me going in, the more confident they were, the more respected they got. Yes. And so if you go in saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry,"
like, "I'm so sorry, I won't be able to come in these days, but I'll work it up and I'll work extra and I'll work this,"
it makes it worse. And I think the more confident you are, the more. And I would also be super upfront about it.
By the way, this is an issue that probably men deal with also.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Ellie's sitting here. You guys can't see him, but we see him. He's here.
He's co-hosting.
No, he's watching Mom. He's rating her co-hosting skills.
Someone's afraid of their job.
Ellie said, well, what did you say? You were terminated? What was it? What did you say? Oh, he was wrongful termination. He's going to sue me.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Right. I want to know.
What?
Well, don't let Ellie know how much I'm making, okay?
How much you're making what?
Being a co-host.
Oh. 0, exactly. Also, my aunt is here, Tata Flori. She's from Montreal. Say hi.
Hi, I'm from Montreal, indeed, Canada.
And she's woman power. She was
Tata Flori is married to my mother's oldest brother, Tanta Sima, and they're here. Oh, and she also actually has a very interesting story because Tata Flori was a principal in Montreal for a long time.
And a high school principal, so you know how
Does she know Annette?
Very challenging.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you know if you were paid the same thing as the man that was the principal
Indeed.
before you?
You were?
Yes, we had exactly
Come
the
closer,
same scale.
Tata.
We had exactly the same salary scale.
Did you really?
Oh yes, and we really monitored that.
Hello, it's Canada.
I know, it's Canada. I know, because they're communist.
Canada is more.
I'm kidding, they're not, but they are
communist.
socialist.
You're really going to get in trouble.
I was kidding. It was a joke. Oh my gosh. My family lives in Montreal. I was joking. I love Canada. It was a joke.
I love Montreal. It's beautiful.
Your cover for this picture should be like the Canadian flag.
Canadian flag. Maple syrup with maple syrup dripping down. I'm
in
sorry.
your career as a teacher and then maybe assistant principal,
And a curriculum advisor.
Right. Did you find that there were times where you weren't paid?
Or treated properly.
No, but not only that, but weren't the rebellion?
Okay, now we have two aspects: treated and paid. I like that this kind of challenge that you get in your career as a woman. Of course, we were challenged because we had to raise the kids, to go home, to make dinner, and do all the cleaning and everything. Whereas the man, my husband, was a teacher. He was a curriculum advisor as well. He would come home, do nothing, sit down, and wait for me to get a table set and ready. You see, so this is the aspect of my life.
That is actually.
So that's what leads us to the next segment.
That was the most repetitive of the questions, was how sharing household responsibility when both parents work full time.
Wait, but I have a question for your end.
Not.
No, but I have a question.
Okay.
The Rebbeim, right? Let's go into schools, right? So I was a teacher for many, many years. They are going to pay the Rebbeim way more money than they are going to pay the English
Because
teachers.
they view the Rebbeim as breadwinners in their home, so they need more money.
Correct.
That is garbage.
Should we open up the can of worms? Because that's like huge. You
But
know?
fine, yeah, no,
it's
go
so
for it.
wrong.
That's wrong.
No, it's
Well,
so
let the
wrong.
word-
1 second, as a man, no.
Wait, are you ready for this?
Come over here. You have to come here now. No, I'm sorry. You have to weigh in.
Wait.
I have a real
I want to
question.
know which school are paying the Rebbeim.
Ellie said he wants to know which
Okay.
school are paying their
Oh, but wait 1 second. I was trying to
Let me give you my experience, because
Yeah.
I was both a principal in a non-Jewish school, and I was a principal in a very Orthodox school,
Okay.
where the Rabbim they were much highly paid, because I knew the salaries of all the women who were teachers,
But
who had exactly the same experience as the rabbis.
And in the secular school, they were paid the same?
Yes.
And in the Orthodox school, not?
Not.
Hashem,
1 second, and I'll tell you even this. I know I have a friend who's a principal of a school here on the East Coast. Not going to say anything.
Okay.
And she is looking for a job, and she cannot find a principal job in a few schools that she wants to, because they will not hire a woman principal. They only want a male principal. And if I told you, you would like be shocked. Like your mouth would drop if I told you the name of the school that she tried to apply to and she couldn't.
Like an all-girl school.
No.
Oh.
Hebrew Academy.
That's good.
A school.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
very funny because
She can't even get a job.
because
Because she's a woman.
I was principal.
Well,
in
maybe
that,
she'd make more money suing all these schools for,
Danielle, are your podcasts always like this controversial? That's what
No, my podcasts are never controversial. I don't know how this happened.
Abby,
I'm not even a feminist. I mean, like, I'm not like I'm not a feminist in the sense that, like, I grew up in a very Moroccan home. Like, you see my mother, Tata Flori, like, my mother, like, their roles were very separate but equal in the house. You know, like, my mother had her jobs, my father had his jobs, and both jobs were respected. They just weren't the same, and that was fine. And I do feel traditionally like that. And actually, at my core, I don't think that women, like, I think that the Torah value is that women should be home with their children, taking care of their homes. At the same time, it's 2019 and it's not 1776 or whatever. I mean, that was a busy time in the world. But like, let's say like 1720, you know, when things were a little bit calmer, and women had to like go out and milk the cow to get milk to churn butter.
Okay, but
so like we're less busy now, which is why, for me personally, why I was bored, because I'm less busy than a woman in the 1800s would have been. Okay, so I need to supplement my time with work.
Okay, but the man in the 1800s, was doing just as much on that farm as the woman.
No, but okay, whatever. The man was working.
I'm just saying that.
But the woman wasn't churning the butter to sell. She was churning the butter to butter her kids' breads with.
Correct.
So I'm saying, like, she was the primary caretaker and homemaker, whereas the man was was working. That was those were the traditional roles. My point is that I'm not opposed to those traditional roles. I think there is something very beautiful. I think the Torah value in women being the primary caretaker is ideally for a reason, meaning Hashem gave us the kochos to multitask. Not that men can't multitask. But then,
he didn't give.
Not like we can.
He didn't give all the kochos to the women. Men have kochos too.
No, of course they do.
And so for me and our family, I will tell you, it's not 50-50 and it's not 100 and 0. It is 100 and 100. Meaning, I do just as much as my husband does.
Of course, but that's
totally a part of it.
Can you tell me how you got to that?
No, one second. But Mom, you also do 100 and 100 because that's the point. The point is that this is the point that I'm trying to make.
I hope Dad doesn't listen to this podcast.
I want to be very clear about this, about what I'm saying. I am not saying that women need to stay home and do nothing. Or not do nothing. For the truth is, the women that are stay-at-home moms are working just as hard as everybody else.
I think working much more. I would never want to be. I would never.
Okay. Everybody is doing the most work that they can do on any given day. Hopefully, so whoever you are, you're doing an amazing job. Keep on doing it. My point is that whatever you do should be valued at the highest level. So if you are working and taking care of your home, that is worth a lot. Like that is a real value to who you, like you are amazing. And if you are working really hard to be the best homemaker you can be, then that is amazing, and you should be valued for that role also.
Yeah, but nobody's giving you a check for $80K for being a stay-at-home mom.
No, but whatever your husband is making
is both of yours. So maybe yours is. Maybe your husband is able to make more money because he's able to be out for more hours because you're home all the time.
And you feed him well.
There's a million different scenarios of how homes work. Every home looks different, and bringing 100 and bringing 100 can look different in every single home. Meaning, in my home that I grew up with, my father did not take care of the house. It would have been an embarrassment to my mother. If my father got up from the table, if Daddy would have ever gotten up from the table, you would have been embarrassed.
Well, ask your husband what I told your husband on Friday night.
Right, sit down.
I yelled at him.
Friday nights, when I was growing up, me and my mother cleared the table. My father and my brother sat down. I never felt resentful of that.
You never felt resentful that your brothers never had to come up?
I never, ever felt resentful. I thought it was First of all, I thought it was normal.
But when there were heavy bags to be brought in from my car.
Our roles were separate.
My boys brought the heavy bags into the house.
And every time I took my father's plate off the table, he said, "Thank you so much, Danielle." My brother said, "Thank you so much, Danielle." And then when I was, when my mother pulled up with groceries,
so nice.
When my brothers pulled up with groceries, I would walk into the house and I did not bring a bag in. And my brothers came out and they brought the bags in. It happens to be that because my mother was Sephardi, our roles were very clear. No, they weren't spoken. Nobody had to tell you these things. It was just the culture that we were raised in. But it was beautiful. There was nothing wrong with our roles being defined and being separate because they were valued equally. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're working or your husband's a stay-at-home dad or your husband's working or you're both working or you're both coming home to the same place, you need to value each other's roles equally because they are both important.
Well, you need to also respect each other.
Exactly.
It comes down to respect.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Well, it's just like getting respect from a boss. From someone you work for.
Okay.
That you need their respect to pay you what you're
worth. I can tell you that a lot of women will tell me that their husbands don't value their job because they don't make enough money.
Well, because once you're out of the house, then you need to be compensated for that.
Well, no. So for example, let's say they're home and they're doing their side hustle. They're stay-at-home mom, and they've realized, oh look, I can bake cookies. I'm just giving an example, and so they start to make cookies out of their home. But they're only bringing in, let's say, $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is, and it's really not like bringing in that much money. But it's paying for, let's say,
buying a new shaitel.
Or she's paying for the babysitter or paying for
or their vacation,
or buying her kids' clothes for Yontif,
whatever it is. Yeah. But the husband's like, no, like our kids come first, and if I'm not around, meaning I will always. The husband says I'm always going to come first, and the kids always come first, and your business is going to always be last. And I think that happens because the men don't value the woman, what they're trying to do.
But that probably is because the woman is actually not bringing in enough money to justify pulling herself away from her family.
Correct. But the woman is so passionate about it.
Right. So what does she do? So what does she do?
Okay.
So either she charges more money or she only works at times that it does not affect her family.
And not only that, but they have an actually open conversation together.
Right.
And so that the disrespect, and so that they just respect each other, and everything's laid out and it's just talked about. And I feel like so often in a lot of marriages, I mean, like we can go into a lot of shalom bayis here, but
loves marriage.
no one talks about these things. Okay. No one is open.
I'm going to tell you, when I got engaged.
You tell me.
I'm going to tell you. When I got engaged, my husband and I went to Montreal to meet my sister-in-law and my brother, who to me are,
where was Tante Lucia?
I don't know where he was, but they were married and had they had
it together.
Right.
Okay.
And I remember my brother, in their house, you always sat around the kitchen table. Until 2 a.m, 3 a.m.
I love that. I love that.
The kitchen table.
But forever. That never changes in her house, in Florie's house. Yeah. And I remember that my brother and his wife both said, we're just going to tell you what marriage is all about. Marriage is the toughest. It's the toughest job you will ever take on in your life. The toughest career and job, because it's a 24/7 job. Mm-hmm. Whatever your career is, you then go home.
Unless your husband travels to America for work, then it's every other.
But it's okay. He goes to your mother. That's okay because he comes to your mother's house. It's fine, But that, I have to tell you, stayed with me my whole married life. That it's a job that I have to grow and to make the best job I've ever had in my life. And we grew together, and we're still growing together, but the job never ends. We have to talk. We have to communicate.
We have to work on it.
100%. And you have to work on it. And the work never ends. Respect for one another, yes. I loved whatever jobs I took on when my kids were younger. I've always did something or other. But my husband's needs of me were that
one day we're going to do a marriage talk. You can come on here and talk. Every podcast comes back to marriage advice. It's unbelievable. You should give classes
on marriage.
Marriage classes.
I don't know. I don't know if this week is a good week.
I literally, at any given moment, have no idea what you're going to say. I cannot even predict it.
There's no filter.
No, there's none. I think it's a safe topic, and then it's not. It's unbelievable.
No, but your father and I have always worked very hard at our marriage, and I
cannot believe that you don't roll your eyes and start gagging when you're talking about marriage.
I am in a good way.
I am inside.
No, in a good way. In a very good way.
I want to say something. I just want you to understand. I don't. You probably don't know much about me. I don't even think Danielle knows this. My father died when I was 11. So my mother.
I was 12.
Oh, okay. I'm sad to hear. It sucks. It really sucks.
It's an unfortunate.
It is what it is.
So my father was diagnosed at the age of 31, and then he died at the age of 36. So, but I was 6 when he was diagnosed. So for me, my whole entire life, he was sick.
My father was.
And what do you mind if I ask what he passed away from?
Heart. But my father, since I was born, my father always had a heart condition. 12.
Okay, so anyways, he died from melanoma cancer, skin cancer. Mm-hmm. So he was a redhead, never put on sunscreen. Mm-hmm. Found out that in stage 4, and so he battled it for about 5 years. And my mother, as soon as he passed, my mother had to get a job, right? So she's a songwriter, and so she loved to write. She actually wrote.
I know. I wish Ellie could hear this.
My mother, we're very close with Abby Rottenberg, so she wrote a lot of Abby Rottenberg songs, like the big ones. What do you call it? Memories.
It's like Uncle Moishi. She said memories, and I'm like, oh, from Cats. And she was like, no. But honestly, I said if you say memories, most people will pair it with Cats.
Okay,
not A.B. Rottenberg.
True, but anyways, and then it depends on how orthodox you are. Okay?
No, 1 second, Ellie. Memories.
So how did she?
You know what? When you grow up without a father, you become more independent.
back
Well, you
to
do.
work.
So wait. So what happened? One second. I just want to tell you my story.
Okay, I don't think you understand.
I just want to tell you my story. So
I've lost control. And help.
it's my show now.
Baruch Hashem,
It's my show now.
It's both of your shows.
But Baruch Hashem, you have the most amazing father, and you do. Does your father ever not take your phone call?
No, actually, he always takes my phone.
And he takes all of my phone calls and all of Eric's phone calls and
so
all
nice.
of Benjamin's phone calls.
Okay.
And we all know how much we call each day. So, but it's...
He always has time for you. That's what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
So for me, my story. So my story is anyway. So my mother remarried 2 years later, and we moved from LA to New York. Okay, that's neither here nor there. Anyways, the funny thing is that I was just trying to comment about your relation, like listening to your mother. So when my mother started dating again, and it was very uncomfortable for me. And then she got married, and then watching that relationship very uncomfortable. And you end up like when you lose a parent at a very young age, you romanticize that relationship. So when my mother always talks about my dad, it's never like, oh my God, disgusting. It's like, oh, tell me more, like I want to hear more. Right. So it's just interesting. Anyways, that was why I brought it up.
I think that, it is interesting how much of what happens to us in our life shapes us today. And it's just how Hashem wants it, I guess.
But I do think that men and women should be paid this way.
Let's go back to the topic.
You brought it back. That was you.
That was good.
And
you got to raise this year.
But I also
actually not a raise. I take it back. You get a bonus.
Maybe more spice. I already got the spice for life.
Mom, are you kidding? I know my mother goes in every day and dips into my spice reserves.
Not yet. I'm waiting.
No, I saw you already. Please.
Once I filled up the jar.
Okay,
that's it.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I really and truly believe that there are responsibilities that only a woman can handle, and there are responsibilities that only a man can handle, and we can't forget that.
See, I want to tell you a story.
A man cannot give birth to a child. No, a man cannot carry a baby for 9 months. Are you kidding?
Man can't have a cold.
That's right. That's right.
So one of my children, my own children, he was diagnosed with a mood disorder when he was about 6 years old, and we had been battling it for like years. I was a teacher, so I could see right away that there was something going on with one of my kids, and I just knew it. I knew that there was something up, and I couldn't figure it out. And we got him tested and we got him assessed. But at the time, I was working so many hours. I was, working at my own company, and I was just working like 16-hour days until I clearly couldn't. And I remember, this is the craziest thing, is that the in the school we had an OT, and the OT happened to be, are you ready for this? The most popular girl from my high school, right? So I get the girl who's going to see now the biggest schmutz in my family, right? Like all the, all the underbelly, right? The therapists that work with your kids get to know the underbelly of your family. Anyway, so now she's the most popular girl in the school. Needless to say, I know that she had gone through her own history, and we got to know each other. We became very good friends. And she said to me, and I will never forget it, she said to me, she goes, you keep saying that at least he has a parent, right? And so for me, it was like, I kept thinking to myself, and you're looking at me like, what? I'm like, I kept thinking to myself, I grew up with only one parent. He has two parents. So if we're passing ships in the night, at least he's got one of us. And I grew, and I really, until she said it to me, it was literally, yes, it was like a patch, but it was the best patch I ever got. Because I realized that at that moment in time, we were like, no, we're 100. We both are in it together to raise our children. And I think that we always were able to like kind of say like, well, he's here or she's there and we're doing this and we're doing that. And I think that when you really, like my husband and I, no joke, before we go to bed every night, we say, okay, what's the schedule for tomorrow? What do you need to do? What do I need to do so that we can be there for our kids?
I give my husband a list.
Oh gosh. Okay. Next question. Yeah. No, I think that's really smart. Communication is always the key.
It's key.
Yeah, to everything. But also back to the workplace, communication is the key. Like you said, you walk into an interview and the first thing you say is, hi, I'm Danielle. I'm Jewish. These are the days I cannot work for you every year. I am the best person you can hire despite of that because I'm really good at my job.
You are hired.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think also communication and confidence. But confidence is something that you can only work on from the inside because nobody can make you feel confident. Those little
there are people born confident.
Oh, no, it's very hard.
No, you're born with a base level confidence. That's your chomer, right? Like that's what you're born with, but you can work on your own confidence. You just have to work at it. It's difficult. It's like working on anger.
It's like a muscle. It's a muscle.
Yeah, you have to work on it. But nobody can give you confidence.
But you have to be very careful with confidence because for a job, when you're being overconfident, they wouldn't hire you.
Right.
Because they don't want to have somebody
they don't want your confidence to turn into arrogance.
At the workplace.
Overconfidence can look like arrogance sometimes. So you want to try to be careful of that.
Very good.
Okay. How do you work from home? This girl wrote, how do you work from home? I feel like my work never ends. To me, that's a very easy question. Boundaries. Time management and boundaries. Like, that's life in general. Like, you will literally spiral out of control if you cannot make boundaries. You cannot work 24 hours a day. You cannot parent 24 hours a day. You cannot be a spouse 24 hours a day. You need boundaries. You need to know when to go to your room and close the door. You need to know when to turn your phone off. You need to know when to walk away from your child who's having a tantrum.
Go have dinner with your husband.
Yeah. You need boundaries.
Somebody just asked me.
You have to learn to say no.
Yeah,
you have to learn how to say no. So
to say yes. Or to say yes. Like,
absolutely.
So I was just talking to somebody asked me recently. They're like, how are you able to do everything in a day? Like, what are you doing? Like, can you tell me your secret? And I said,
just keep going.
No, I have a secret. My secret is this. Okay, as women, we have like a million browsers open in our head, correct?
Okay.
So what I do is when it gets very overloaded, and I know that there's a lot of things that I do, and I do this literally every single night before I go to bed, I have a hard time falling asleep. For years, I had a hard time because I was thinking about all the things that I needed to do the next day. I just started to brain dump the night before, and I just wrote it all down. This is what I need to do. I literally write everything down, and then I can just go to sleep because my browser's closed.
Right.
So in the mornings, what I do is I look at my list, and I say, okay, these are the things that need to get done. And I literally strategically say, okay, I write them all down.
Yeah.
And as I go, I cross them off.
By the way, you're making boundaries for yourself.
Correct.
This is not something I can do today. This is something I can do today.
Yes, but at the same time, Danielle, if somebody's texting, I turn my phone off. When I'm going through my list, I'm giving it 100%. There is nothing else around me except for I've got to finish this, and then I can do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So it's giving.
Hi, Leila. Hi, Batya. She's such a good girl. Hi, Lucy. How are you? Hi, Batya.
Cute.
Hi guys, how are you? Hi Maggie.
Oh my gosh, she has your baby's face.
I know, they look exactly the same. 1 second. Okay, no, we have to get through the questions.
Okay,
1 second.
Let's
okay.
go.
Yeah.
How do you? Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. You ate the oh my gosh, she made a rainbow with Fruit Loops and fluff. The fluff is the glue, and then that's awesome. That is gorgeous. Okay, so this is a very interesting question. How do you maintain your femininity? Sneas and examples. This is how she wrote it. While passionately arguing, in quotations, or debating when you are working with a man. Which, by the way, I think this could be applied to woman on woman also. How do you maintain your femininity, in parentheses, sneas levels, when you are passionately arguing or debating with someone you work with?
I think you have to be confident, but you also have to be respectful. No,
I love it. Yeah, respect.
I'm saying it all goes back to like being respectful of
and
yourself.
respecting yourself.
No,
yes. Oh my gosh, this is why we're best friends, guys. Yeah,
you have to respect yourself, and you have to know and be happy with who you are. Like you just have to know.
You don't have to get on a chair and wave your hands and scream and be the loudest person in the room to get your point across. That would be not feminine.
Do you know how many times I've heard somebody who's like so like like you would never even like realize, but all of a sudden they speak and the room just shuts up. Like everyone just listens to that person because they demand respect. Like they command respect. They command respect because all of a sudden they just open their mouth and you know that whatever comes out is going to be golden.
Because it's intentional and deliberate and they thought about it and they're not screaming from the top of their lungs. I often think the loudest person in the room is not the person.
The most intelligent?
I don't want to label it. No, but like I think that if you're confident in what you have to say, you don't need to scream it.
Right.
Except if you come from a very big family and the only way you're heard
and you're Moroccan.
And everybody's talking and wants to be heard.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, look at your children.
What? My children are children, Mom.
I understand, but their level of their vocal you know,
you're fired.
voice.
You're fired. Okay? You lost your bonus. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Their level of voice is perfect.
It is perfect, but it has to be a little bit higher than when my 3 kids were sitting down. It's easier to...
Oh, you're saying for them to be heard amongst each other. Interesting. I'm going to pay more attention to that. Okay. Shomer Nagia in the secular workspace. I've never had this experience.
I've never had this issue either.
Mom? You know what Shomer Nagia? You know what that is, right?
Yeah, yes.
Men and women touching. Like shaking a man's hand.
You know.
1 second. Ellie. Oh, he left.
So whenever I've had to be in a position, like when I was, like, you know, I would do tabletop shows and I would go to these big events and there were men there and if they had no idea who I was or what I was and like, you know, like I just, they couldn't sniff out an Orthodox Jew. They didn't know the boundaries. They didn't know the boundaries. I would just say, it's so nice to meet you. I actually just don't shake men's hands.
Oh, you
I'm
would
an
put
Orthodox
it out there
Jew.
right away.
Yeah, I would put it out there. I would say I'm an Orthodox Jew. I don't shake hands. But I also have to read it. Like if they were like really aggressive,
then you would just do it.
Then I would just do it. Yeah, like because if I knew that it was just not gonna like fly, I would just.
Or you didn't even have time to say that.
Yeah, I just like he was already like in my face. Like I would just be like.
What about if it's people that you work with? What would be the advice to like? Right, that's a one-off. But like, let's say you're working in a secular workspace with men that you see every day.
I don't know that that's an issue anymore.
I don't think it is either.
I think it depends where you live.
I think because of germs, people are okay. No, I think people are more germophobic than ever before.
Okay, but
people are not so fast.
If you work in a law firm, if you work in a law firm, right? You could, even in New York, you could be the only religious Jew in that law firm. It could be a small law firm.
Oh, for sure. Like, look, I can tell you, Chaya, right? The founder of the JWE. Yeah. She's an M&A lawyer. She works in Baltimore. She's the only Orthodox Jew.
Okay, so what does she do?
And not only that, she wears a sheitel to work.
Can we call her in? Call her in. Ask her.
I will call Chaya. Let's see.
Do the men in her office know?
Let's ask her. Is
it putting her on the spot? We don't want to embarrass.
No, I just don't know if she's going to answer her phone because she's been pretty busy. But we'll see.
So let's see.
We'll see.
Because it is interesting. Like, you know, in a one-off, it's easier to just do it and say nothing, or it's easier to say something and not be as worried. But let's say you're working with them every single day.
I don't think I would have to tell anyone because of my religion. I think that I would just say, you know what? Hi, how you doing? It's so nice to meet you.
Right, I hear that.
It's so nice to meet you.
I don't know if she's
put my hands together.
Okay, let's see.
And they get the message. Right.
They understand?
I think people are much more understanding. If they're not, then you say, you know what, I
would think, she didn't pick up, but I would think that if you're working in an office day in and day out with people and you don't want to touch men.
Can I call Hagit? Yeah. She deals with men all day long.
Okay, let's call Hagit. Like if you're working in a law firm where you're working with secular men every single day who don't know anything about Shomer Nagia, probably you do need to either tell them or never tell them and just do it. But if that's your value is being Shomer Nagia, then you should live by that value and you shouldn't be embarrassed. And at the very beginning, like,
Hi, Abby, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Hagit, you're being recorded on a podcast with Danielle with Peaslovencarrots.
Hi, Hagit. Nice to meet you. And mimic like Mom.
I'm in the middle of a meeting. Okay.
We just have a question and we need to ask somebody who works in the secular world.
Okay.
Our question that somebody asked is in regards to like Shomer Nagia and the workplace with secular men, but like not a one-off. Like if you work in a law firm and you're the only Orthodox Jew in the law firm, or if you work in an accounting firm and you're the only Orthodox person in an office of secular men, how do you navigate that system?
Okay. So first of all, you get to know the people and you introduce yourself, and you don't scare them the first time. So many times when people extend their hands, I would return a hand and I would shake their hand. But later on, when they hear about me and I tell them who I am, where I come from, I'm observant, I can't work this holiday, I can't work that holiday, and they learn to respect my rules, and they learn that I'm Shomer Nagia, and they stop shaking my hands.
Oh, so that's so interesting, because I would have thought the best thing would have been off the bat just to tell them. But you're saying actually form a relationship and let them know slowly.
I do not like to embarrass people because people take it really, really hard.
You think it's embarrassing, like to nip it in the bud?
To reject someone's hand.
to reject. So if somebody was working in an office long term and this was their first day, they would show up in the office, they would meet all their coworkers, shake hands, do what they have to do.
No,
and then,
so what I'll tell you how I do it. I never extend a hand, but if people give me one, I give it back to them.
Interesting.
Yes. And then when they get to know me and I speak to them and introduce myself and I tell them a little bit about where I am and my background, they understand. And the next time I meet them, they see I don't shake hands. They understand it already. They're figuring it out.
It's intuitive. They're picking up on it.
Yes.
What if you were seeing them on a daily basis? Like if it was an employee in your office.
Okay. Do you shake your employees' hands?
You know what? I don't have employees. I work for myself.
He does.
Right. So I'm asking.
I don't shake any employees' hands. I don't touch my employees for the good and the bad.
Okay.
But when they come for an interview and they introduce themselves, I do shake their hand. But after that, when you see someone every day in the office and it's already each other, you don't shake each other's hands.
Okay.
It's just the first time you meet each other. And when it's very official meetings, when you meet lawyers, when you meet other accountants, when it's the first time you meet someone, I think that's when usually there is a handshake. But then if they know me already after that meeting and I talk a little bit about myself and my background and, I cannot meet next week, it's a Jewish holiday. Oh, you're observant. Yes, I am. And blah, blah, blah. So that's when the whole thing comes. But
okay.
That's more or less. I just don't, I know that, listen, I know women, many other religious women, including my older sister, who rejected people's handshakes. And that's why I'm saying I'm different, because she had stories of people that were so offended from her, like years.
Wow.
For years. Because when you're feeling that you're going to, people don't know anything. What does it mean? People never heard of Jewish people, let's say, not shaking hands. It's not something.
Right.
Not everyone heard of it. And for someone to come and you're extending a hand and you're like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to shake your hand. That's like, oh my God. It's very insulting. And not everyone gets out of it. And people hold a grudge against you. It's a very sensitive topic. So sometimes I let it slide because I think offending someone and hurting him is much worse than getting into the whole topic and explaining to them with a person I've never even met.
Right.
It's like, it's too much to handle, and it's like really taking the focus off the reason you're meeting the person.
Right.
So,
okay,
amazing. I'm not the Rebbitzin.
No,
I don't know if this should be recorded, quoted anywhere.
We wanted a perspective of someone in the workplace, and that's why we're all here, to help learn from each other's.
Yeah, but she's also shomer mitzvot.
Right.
She covers her hair.
Right.
Chagi, can you just tell the audience who you are, by the way? Because I did not tell anyone.
What audience? What are you talking about?
We're recording a podcast.
Okay. So my name is Chagit Levayev. I'm president of Levayev Group USA. It's companies who make investments in various industries, mainly diamonds and jewelry in the U.S., real estate. And that's more or less.
Amazing. Okay.
Do you have any extras?
There are many extras, but
Danielle's mom
not for this conversation.
Amazing, Chagi. Thank you so much for letting us put you on the spot like this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I really was. I hope I'm not going to regret when I hear it somewhere.
No,
so.
This was great value. This was really, really good. Really, really amazing.
Listen, I'm not a Rebbitzin, but this is how
None of us are.
None of us are, really. And I think that what you had to say was really valuable to a lot of women. I really do. And I liked your perspective.
Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, girls. Good luck.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.
Oh my! She was in the middle of a meeting. She totally just stopped.
Because that's the JWE.
So nice. Yeah,
that is the JWE.
That's amazing. Oh, plug! You know what? Every episode has a plug. This is amazing. You have to hear Chevy's episode. She was shamelessly plugging herself, but she did. It was so subtle.
Oh, see,
it was
there
so subtle. This was amazing.
But this is
how this episode.
Wait a minute. How do I plug myself?
Mom, you do.
No, but how do I make money doing it?
Well, I first need to make. We don't make any. This is
I can just sit there and watch you make money.
We're the communists now. I'm not making money either. We don't have sponsors.
Wow.
We've free spawn. This episode has been brought to you from the free sponsorship of the JWE.
Yes.
What's your tagline?
Empowering Jewish women.
Empowering Jewish women every day.
Yeah. Well, we connect with women and we mentor. Chagit's one of our mentors.
Oh,
she's a board member. She's one of our board members. And by the way, just here's my plug. We have a social media summit coming up September 23rd.
Which I know I'm very excited, which I don't know if I'm going to be at, but I would like to be at if I can. We'll see. It is 5 days before Rosh Hashanah, so you would think
just only.
Okay, we have to start wrapping this up because it's been 4 hours long. There are a lot of other questions.
Oh my god.
Okay. How do you respond? Which I guess we've already answered this technically, but how do you respond to questions about Torah, mitzvos, family planning, and personal life? And that leads to a very interesting question, which somebody asked, which I could not believe. How do you deal with pregnancy and nursing in the workplace? So this was a few questions we got. How can I do it sneezely? How can I redirect pregnancy questions? How do I deal with that OMG, you're pregnant again? Comments from secular people. If you're working in a secular environment and you have 5 children and then 6 children and then 7 children, people will give you that look. How do you deal with that? Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
First of all, don't these places need to have like a designated
Jew?
No. Okay, I meant like a breastfeeding room, but they need to have. I think legally, you're supposed to have a designated room.
No, legally, a woman can, and I know this.
Okay,
legally, a woman in the United States can breastfeed anywhere. You can accommodate her with a breastfeeding room. However, she can choose to nurse anywhere she wants, and she does not need to be covered. That's a separate sneeze issue. I'm not going to say anything.
Is it a boss's?
No, it is.
Is it
an obligation?
Does he have to accept you bringing the baby because you're nursing?
No, I think if they're talking about nursing, like they're talking about pumping during work.
Right.
Oh.
I don't think people are bringing their babies to work.
Right.
Unless
they're bringing a nurse or
no, I'm saying unless like let's say you're a nurse and they have like daycare in the space or like there are places that have daycare
where you can leave and go nurse for a few minutes and come back.
Yeah.
That's probably less problematic or easier for some people than pumping.
Yeah.
Like how do you pump in your office has a bathroom and you go into the office and you're sitting there pumping for half an hour and other people need the bathroom.
Okay. When I was nursing in a regular modern day school, the rabbi walked right in on me. Like, no joke. I found an empty classroom, and he literally walked in on me.
And what did you say?
I'm like, hi. And he was so embarrassed. Like, so embarrassed because...
So funny because when you're nursing, your chest is not your own. And it literally... do you know I just found out halachically while you're nursing, it is not erva? Meaning it's not like a part of your body that needs to be covered after you're married, the way your hair or your elbows or knees or whatever you consider erva, to each their own. While you're nursing, your chest is not erva.
It's literally like an arm or an elbow. Well not an elbow.
It's like a wrist. It's like a wrist. It is not erva. And I actually think that's really interesting. I'll share a little something with you all that I probably should not. Please let your children marry my children anyway. I personally do find it difficult to cover while I'm nursing because I just it's like hot and it's a lot of fabric and like it's all over the place. And like in my house, it is difficult to always put that nursing apron on top of me. And it is what it is. Like, I apologize if I've offended your eyes.
You're very modern.
We're really best friends now.
You are very modern in your thinking.
Now nobody's going to marry my kids. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Your kids are going to be modern.
Chas v'shalom. It was a joke. It was a joke.
No, but you happen to be very modern in...
No, it's not modern.
I don't know. I think it's.
I wish I was a little bit better. Yeah, I wish I was a little bit better about covering up. I don't necessarily love that. My 2 bigger boys come in and see whatever they see. Personally, I think I'm a very discreet nurser, so I feel that even if I'm not covered with a nursing apron, you're not seeing very little. However, I did have a little snafu where I was Instagram storying while nursing, and I posted a story, and all of a sudden my phone is wild, ding, ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. And Ellie's in the room and it's at night. And Ellie's like, what is happening? And I open the message and everybody's like, check your story, check your story, check your story. Maybe you should take that down. I'm like, what's happening? I look at the story and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Could they see the whole thing?
No, because I was nursing. So most of me was covered, but a little of me wasn't covered. So thank God only very small few thousand people saw it. And I assume that most people are just clicking through really quickly and not paying attention.
Yeah,
but I took it off really quickly and I'm like, okay, I'm going to say something. And Ellie was like, no, do not address it. Say nothing. Say nothing. But honestly, it was only a matter matter of time.
Okay, but you know what I think?
He was like, you could be arrested, Danielle. I'm like, no, it's fine.
No, but you could have your Instagram totally shut down.
No, I could. Yeah.
Yeah, you could be reported. You could be reported. I just also think, by the way, just going back to this question, it all comes back again to self-respect.
Yeah.
Like, if you respect yourself, if you're confident, then you can do whatever you want. Like, you can really, really.
Why should you be insecure pumping in a bathroom when you're being a mother who's nursing their child and working? Actually, you should feel so confident about that because you're awesome.
Yeah, not only that, but like when people say to you, like, again, like, okay, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
And I worked in, like, a
By
yeshiva.
the way, just time out. Nobody in this world, whether you are Jewish or secular, religious or not, or anything, should ever comment on anything pregnancy related. Literally, until a woman is holding the baby in her hands, you say nothing. That is what I think.
Okay, that's for sure. But I was 4. I had just had I had my 4th kid. I was 4 months. He was 4 months, and I got pregnant again. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So my 2 last ones are literal twins. Okay. And I walk in, and I'm a teacher at the school, and I just went on last year. I was on maternity leave, and guess what's going to happen this year? I'm going to get on maternity leave again.
Oh, my God.
Right? Can you imagine going in? And I'm talking about a real yeshiva. This isn't like, a modern Orthodox.
And they understand women having children.
Multiple babies.
Okay.
And so they said to me, and I had to go in there and I had to tell the principal. And I was like, really?
You were nervous?
I was nervous about it. And I basically said, you know what? And then I remembered that when I went in for like, she had like, like before school starts, they have like that whole like parent teacher, whatever, not teacher, like the principal gives the teachers and gives them a whole day.
It's like a yomian.
Yeah, before school. Okay. And she goes in and she says, I'm just going to let you know that the average amount of kids that are in here and the families, okay, the average family is over 8 children.
Oh my gosh.
Average.
Wow.
So when I walked into her, then this is my 4th year of teaching the school, I realized that when I go to her and say, listen, I'm pregnant again and this is my 5th kid, she's going to be like, okay. Right. And I realized that I had nothing to be afraid of and nothing to say I'm sorry and nothing to apologize
Even if the average age would have been 4 children, you still had nothing to apologize for.
Okay, no, 1 second. And now I'm not going to lie. The teachers all said to me, you're pregnant again. Every time I see you, you're pregnant again. Oh, you're pregnant again. And I said to them, yeah, isn't it wonderful?
Right. But by the way, this is why we do not comment. You don't know what anybody went through in their life or is going through in their life or how they got to that point.
You don't have an opinion.
You do not comment. You do not ever comment. You don't know what brought anybody from point A to point B, and you do not comment on personal things like that. I mean, I don't have sisters, but I assume if it's your sister, that's probably the only person it's okay to
Not
even. Not even. Really?
I have 6 of them. Not even.
Fine. Okay. Okay, perfect. We dealt with that. Next question. So the next questions are work and family related. We'll go through them a little bit quickly because we did discuss that, and boundaries and communication is key. We already discussed that. What do you think about leaving kids to other people to be taken care of so that you can work? I think if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. Find the person you trust the most.
100%.
I don't think it's an issue anymore.
No, it always is. You always have to be careful.
No, you have to be very, very careful that you're definitely trusting them with the people that you.
Cameras all over your house.
Yeah, but I also think that a lot of times when you're working outside,
is watching you. Forget Big Brother. Nana's watching.
When you work outside of the home, sometimes you come with renewed energy, and you can see even like your children in a very different light, and it just becomes.
So that's interesting because some people didn't feel like their energy was renewed. They felt like how do they replenish their emotional energy after work for their family? They felt depleted of energy, and then they have to go home and be on, and they find that very hard.
So you know what I would do?
What?
I would say, like, I would literally tell I would take a half an hour before I walk in that door for myself, and I would just tell my kids I come home a half an hour later. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, but that's always what I tell my husband even because I work at home. And once my kids come home, I stop working, and then I'm just mom mode, and I'm, Baruch Hashem, very happy and feel very lucky to be able to do that. And then, when we were first married, Ellie used to sometimes come in the house, and either he would be on the phone because he was like had a work call while he was driving, and then he just, the work call didn't end yet. Or he would take a work call 10 minutes later, and I would be like, no, don't come in the house. Wait, finish your work, and then come home, sit in the car, decompress, eat a chocolate bar. I don't really care what you do. Come in the house when you're ready to be on. I would as the woman who's receiving you, and I imagine as the man who's receiving you, or as the babysitter that's receiving you, I would rather you, or as the child that's receiving you, I would rather you take an extra 10 or 20 minutes and come home and be on and present and with it.
You raised her right.
Oh my gosh. 2 claps to today. I'm really on a roll. Oh my gosh, I'm such a funny and Abby. This is amazing. This is amazing. No, so that is like really what I think, but that goes back to boundaries, setting a boundary. I will not walk into my house until I am ready to walk into my house. And by the way, sometimes if you need to be at your house a certain time, that means making the boundary work. I need to be off this call a half hour before I walk into my house. I'm really sorry. My workday has now ended.
Do you know that I talk to women, again, who are doing very, very well in business or whatever it is, and they will say, I'm sorry, I need to take this call. My husband is calling me.
Yeah, good. So boundary.
And I think it's amazing. I really think it's amazing.
That is amazing. Okay. The next question was instilling into your kids to be proud that your mom works. This is easy. Like, you be proud and your kids will be proud. Like, be proud.
Because you talk to your kids about your job. You share.
Include them.
Include them, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. This was hilarious. How do you explain that mincha is always at the worst time of day?
It's so true.
It's amazing. She like hit it on that.
Totally.
I have no idea. Mincha is legitimately at the worst time of every
literally,
day.
it's like everything
and
is happening.
Changes. Yes. Like in the winter it's early, in the summer it's late, and whenever it is, it's the worst. I know. But like I once heard a joke like like Avram made Shachris, Yitzchak made Mincha, and like why did Yaakov make Mariv? And it was like because it was either Mariv or bathe 12 boys.
My husband, one Shabbos, he couldn't get to shul on time. Whatever it was, he just couldn't get to shul. Anyways, he was home for Friday night, right? Yeah. Like that during that time when they're in shul, he's like, "Is it always this bad?"
It's really wild. I thought that question was awesome. I know. And like, do women get to go to mincha? No. But you know what? That's separate but equal. We have our own rules that are equally valuable. Okay. Torah values. So the Torah value is to take care of home and family. I love how she worded this question, guys. I'm going to repeat it how she worded it because it was incredible and the word she used was amazing. Torah value is to take care of home and family. How do we maintain that privilege and stay true to our Torah values while working? So this girl is saying that the Torah has a value for women to take care of their home and their family. She's saying that it's a privilege for us to be able to do it. And she's saying, anyways, we're working, so how do we maintain that value? She's not negating the work we do. She's not negating being a home taker. She is putting them together and saying, how do we work and still maintain the value that we have a privilege to be a home caretaker and a homemaker? Caretaker and maker. Isn't that an awesome question?
It was a really good question.
I know.
It's a very profound question.
It's amazing.
Even though it seems like very easy to answer,
it's not.
It's not.
But it also comes back to self-respect. Wait, let's talk about boundaries. Self-respect.
It's privilege.
It's privilege. But it's also mindset. It's mindset.
It's mindset. It's how you view
and your spouse's mindset.
Correct.
It's everything and communication. Right. But it's also it's how you view your role as a mother and a wife.
Correct.
It is a privilege and it is a bracha and we should value it.
I know, but most women that I see, especially the ones that work at their house, they're in conflict, meaning they want to do their job and they can't because of these kids. So they are in constant conflict with it.
Okay.
And it's really, and I hear that. Right. I hear it mostly, I'm going to be really honest, and I'm sorry I'm generalizing this.
Yeah.
But I hear it mostly from a younger generation, like from the 20s to 26s.
Because they haven't struggled yet.
They haven't struggled.
This is their first real struggle.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So they have to figure it out.
No, I'm saying,
guys, figure it out yourself. No, I'm kidding.
No, but I think that this is something that I dealt with it, right? Like my oldest is 17, my youngest is 7, and trust me, it was challenging.
I deal with it all the time. I work from home. I have no other place to work but home.
Right, but you have to have very, very clear boundaries. Like I have somebody that I'm working with right now who has a child, and she cannot work because that kid is always crying.
No, but I'll tell you what else. I don't view my time with my kids as taking away from my work. That's first of all. Like once I set the boundaries, right? Like my girls, thank you, Israel, come home at 2:00 every day. At 2:00, my work goes off. If there's ever time where like the girls are at play dates or I get to work, great. If not, I am not resentful of my kids for taking me away from work at that time. I value that time to be a mother, and I treat that job with as much respect and care as I treat my job of food blogging or whatever.
So there are a lot of women that I hear from And I'm not saying that this is your case, but I'm just saying that there are a lot of people who are struggling financially that really don't have a lot of money, and they are really relying on the amount of work that they do. And so when they have a baby and they cannot afford a housekeeper or somebody to watch the child, and they still have to do their work, that's where the conflict happens, because they feel so bad that they really want to be the greatest mom, but at the same time, they really, 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 really need to provide for their family.
I think you're the greatest mom with your confidence in what you give your children. Some children need more than others, and you have to...
but what does that mother do that needs to work and can't be with her 2-month-old baby because she has to go back to work full time? So you're saying that's where the conflict is.
That's where the conflict is. A lot of these people
and she can't afford to leave her baby with a babysitter, so she has a full-time job from home, which is like sales, phone sales, things like that.
Whatever it
is. But she doesn't want to... No. I'm sorry. 2-month-old daycare is not ideal for anybody.
I know if you find people in this neighborhood,
it's very hard to find good ones, and they are very expensive. They are very, very expensive. Not everybody can afford that.
I'm just saying that the girls who are in the 20 to 26 range that are dealing with this are new moms. They've never had to deal with this before. They're really challenged.
So what do they do?
So
is it because their husband is learning?
No, it doesn't matter. And don't answer that question. First of all, that's a different podcast. Second of all, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Your husband could go to work every day and be making no money.
So I'll give you an example. My husband, for 4 years we did not have a housekeeper. Okay, my husband decided that we were going to get rid of our housekeeper because our children were entitled babies. To the point that when the housekeeper came with the broom, my kids lifted their legs up so that she could have access to the dirt under their feet. So for 4 years, we got rid of our housekeeper. When my husband, and at the same time, one second, I will be very honest with you, at the same time, my husband had decided that he was going to become his own, he's a contractor, and he said, I'm going to go out on my own. We can't afford a housekeeper. Our children are entitled. We're getting rid of it. I will help out. So if I told most women, they would probably kill me, or they would want to marry my husband. But he does. I do not know how to use the laundry machine. I do not know how to use the dishwasher. I do not know how to use any of things because he's afraid I'm going to break them. So he does it. So my point was, now I lost my point.
Be a team.
No.
If you can.
No, my point. My point is that when his job started to take off, we had to get a housekeeper, right? And so my husband said, it is the first thing that I pay, meaning it's our first employee that I pay. It's part of our bills. It's not like an added expense. It is an expense. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, meaning just like I pay the mortgage, just like I pay this bill for cleaning our house
is non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable because I cannot.
It facilitates your business.
Right, because if not, he was literally taking 3 hours to clean our house every day.
So a woman that has a baby home, right, that needs to work full-time, either needs to find a way to find a job that pays her enough to leave the baby with a babysitter, or she needs to find an alternative.
1 second. Or the biggest issue is, and this is what I work with women on, is finding their profit goal of this is how much money I need to make. Now let's add the $400 for the babysitter, and that's the first thing that gets paid.
How to get that $400.
Correct. And then we figure out, we come up with a goal and a way of catching that kind of money that they can actually get what they need.
Instead of being all over the place.
Correct.
We came full circle. You know, that's where the podcast started. We just came full circle. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay, so I think that was all of most of the questions. And we could keep going for like 4 hours, but we won't. This was amazing. I feel like I learned so much. I think that the main thing personally that I took away, like if there's a core and we're talking about work and values, whether it's you work at home, work in an office, work in a secular environment, whatever it is, the main thing for any woman or any man really is, you need to be confident in your skill. Mm-hmm. You need to know your worth. You need to be able to communicate clearly and effectively. And transparency. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I can do. This is what I need. And this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Confidence, self-respect.
Self-respect. Right. That was a big one.
It's huge.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Tata Flori. This was the best surprise. I know. Abby.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, seriously.
Amazing. I had the best time.
Well, I am your best friend now, so I will be on other ones.
That's true. Oh, we need to give a shout out to Chagit for her.
Yes, thank you, Chagit Levaya, for calling in.
That was very nice of you. Thank you. And Mime, co-host with the mostest. Hostess with the mostest, Mimic Light Mom.
I do feel bad for you women today because it's women today, for the most part, have to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right, both are right, tuition, healthcare, everything.
Everything.
Bills are much higher.
You know, women, it's just a given. I mean, unless, you know.
Okay, we know who doesn't
women,
have
But work is good
women,
also.
work is very good. I always liked working a little, but whenever I worked, I didn't.
Okay.
It wasn't.
You're saying
know,
life is harder today.
Life is much harder today.
So come to Mima and have some wine.
Sure. Rosé, it's summertime.
Rosé all day, baby. Okay. Everybody have an awesome day. Thank you so much for being here. Season 2, episode 2 with Abby Wollin, Work and Values. This was amazing. I can't wait to see you all next time. Have an amazing day, everybody. Bye.